chat. What you do is you click on that, and you'll have to sign in with your email and your password on your computer or for your YouTube account, either one. And then it should come back and say a little word, say something. So let's see how we go. I just want to raise a hand. How many people found it really entertaining to watch me talk and say nothing? Because I think Connie would say that's a wonderful thing. Technical difficulties already. The speakers weren't on. But just real quickly, during this virtual streaming of our General Assembly, you'll be able to, through the chat feature, you'll be able to send us questions and comments if you want. If you haven't done that before on YouTube, down in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, there'll be two words, say something, are the two words. And you can go right in there and type in your question or comment and then hit the arrow or send button. And it comes to us and we'll see it and we'll be able to respond to it. If you don't see those words say something, you'll see the words chat. And what you need to do is click on that, and you'll need to sign in with your email and your password for your YouTube account, which you have since you're watching it. And then it'll come back. When you're done with that, it'll come back, and you'll have the word "say something" there for you to type into. So anyway, that's how it's going to work. We hope. If we run any technical difficulties, we'll be back in touch with you later in the programming. So right now, again, we're on a little hold, waiting Father to come and get us started. He's wrapping up his duties in the altar, so stand by. Thank you.
Ready to start the meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for attending, both in person and through the stream from YouTube. I'm very happy to see almost a full church today for the first time in a long time. We look forward to Holy Week and having Pascha in our church for the first time as a community in years. I believe It has been almost 6 years. So it's a wonderful time at St. George. So I've called the meeting to order. Father, could you please lead us?
Heavenly King, comfort, Spirit, truth, is present everywhere, filled all things. Treasure of blessings, give life, come dwell within us. Cleanse our saints, our souls, a good one. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. We're going to call a quorum. We're going to say we have a quorum based on who's present today and all the individuals that are watching through YouTube. Without objection, seeing the objection, we would call it quorum. We don't have anything major to vote, but there are some committee reports that we need to accept. And we will start with approval of the minutes from the spring General Assembly of the Fall General Assembly of 2020. Peter Jones will act as the secretary today and read the minutes and also take the minutes. Mr. Quorum couldn't be here.
Good morning. The following are the minutes from the November 15th General Assembly. The Fall General Assembly was called to order by Parish Council President Mike Nasios, who thanked and welcomed those on YouTube and those in person. Father Anthony offered the opening prayer. Mike Nasios advised that due to COVID restrictions, the community is still not able to meet as before. He recognized that everyone missed that in-person interaction for services and coffee. Asked for the community to be patient, asked for everyone to be careful following the protocols issued by the diocese in hopes of a regular assembly in the spring. Advised that the community could rest assured that the council will do their best to keep the church functioning. The community was thanked for financial support and prayers in helping support the council in leading the community. Special thanks to Goya for all they have done. They have been faithful supporters. The Greek to Go was successful because of the community. Thanks to all the Evertonians for their efforts, and they stepped up, brought the community together again, as in prior happier years while observing the social distancing protocols. Hope it is to have a normal Greek Fest in 2021, but that is unknown. Therefore, no funding is in the budget from Greek Fest for 2021. Plans are to have a Stewardship Drive that will start the week of November 15th. A letter will be sent from Parish Council asking for an increased pledge to meet the budget without Greek Fest. The Council understands that this is a difficult time, but funds will have to be made up from the community. Thank you to Father Anthony, Mark, Chris, Chanters, Theodora, and Terry for helping the church functional and not having to miss any services. The bishop has recommended that no elections for Parish Council take place. The current members should remain on board for 2021. Work together as a team, just as we did after the fire. The diocese has given some freedom regarding the rule for a quorum due to the circumstances. So based on the members in person and YouTube attendance, it is considered to be a quorum. The only big item is the budget. Minutes. John Corn provided the minutes from the Spring General Assembly of May 17th, 2020. The minutes were approved with no objections or corrections noted. Father Anthony gave the financial summary for the Theotokos Fund. He noted beginning corrected balance from May meeting of $32,985.77. He noted disbursements totaling $1,799 and collections of $1,159, deposits and interest. He further advised our $20,000 donation for Habitat for Humanity for house construction was issued. Community has participated in several builds. Thanks to Emily Faust for her leadership in this area. The community has supported this endeavor for 5 years, 2010, 13, 15, 17, and 2020. Father Anthony thanked those serving on the Theotokos Fund Committee and announced 2 new members, Mike Nasios and John. The community was thanked for their support and commitment to the church, and members were requested to continue to help and support the church and the community. We have been blessed by many good Samaritans and sacrifice this year. Father, encourage everyone to pray fervently for the community and services in hope, conviction, and steadfast faith. During the last few months, he has tried to reach out to the community with bulletins and direct calls. If you need something or just talk, please call. Thank the council, staff, all the community for their support. Financial report. Kelly Peters gave the October financial report. She noted the council has made budget cuts to reduce expenses in light of shortfall created this year. Alexis Psihoyos was able to get the reduction in insurance. There was also a reduction in the church grounds expenses. Maintenance costs will increase due to repairs on the rental house. Thank you to those who paid their pledge earlier, increased it. The income is still somewhat lower than what we'd like. There are several items in miscellaneous income. Paycheck Protection Program gave $43,000 for economic injury grant. Should be forgiven and is working with the bank on that. Ended the fine arts insurance and was able to pay off the line of credit. In October, borrowed from the line of credit for Greek Fest, and it was paid back from Greek Fest. Questions from the floor about the Metropolis Paycheck Protection Loan. Our portion is about 1 month of our stewardship back to them. We will not get a reduction in stewardship to Metropolis, but they are working to reduce their expenses. Kelly deferred other comments to Mike, her father. Mike stated that the charge of the allotment is based on expenses. The Metropolis gave a break in 2020 due to the unusual expenses from the fire. Father stated that the process is being pushed by the Archdiocese. They're also pushing for transparency. The Metropolis has furloughed their employees. Question about miscellaneous line 29 and 13 in October financials explained by Kelly. 2021 budget review. Kelly stated that the theme is to reduce expenses. The mortgage and church halls are payments on the line of credit. Father requested no increase on his salary. The pension will go up on Archdiocese requirements. Some items are left in the budget for possible future needs. We have not met the current pledge goals for the past few years. We are not financially okay. I have a lot to do. Mike Nasios called for a motion to accept the budget as presented. Greg Tampus made a motion to accept. Charlie Perula's second. Vote was unanimous. President's report. Mike Nasios advised that the diocese denied the appeal for the reduced allotment. Maintenance. Jim Valvalitis advised that there were a lot of repairs on the rental house, subsiding, gutters, fascia board, siding, and bathroom issues that have been corrected or replaced. The roof is good. Approximately $40,000 has been spent, which is under budget. Line of $50,000. May have some additional needs on a door, and the church may need an AC unit in the hall and a replacement for the refrigerator, freezer, in the kitchen. Planning. Charlie Perula said the committee has 6 people. There are 3 permanent members, Nick Liaconis, Pete Psihoyos, John Kutsianas, and 3 elected members who are Marianne Jennings, Laki Leakbees, and Charlie, who is the chairman. No real needs. All the improvements were made at the time of the fire. Greek Fest. Jimmy Kotsianas reported on their success of Greek Fest and used their knowledge of the Greek church drive-through events, gauged from Greenville, Spartanburg, and Myrtle Beach results. Felt like we had short of estimates and made about 1/2 of what we thought. The great thing was that our community came together in fellowship working for a cause. Jimmy expressed thankfulness for the leadership of Peter Jones, Laki Ligdis, Artemis Didis, who all headed up different areas. We were hoping for about 3,000 cars, got around 1,000 to 1,200. 2 weeks after the Greek to Go had a successful one-day event, we took in $10,000. Brian Hester will share the numbers. There are pastries left and will be sold after the assembly. Due to the pandemic, there was a late start on advertising. Special thanks to Franklin Kotsianas for his work in the execution of the smooth pickup. Greek Fest financials. Brian Hester explained the responsibility of assistant treasurer to his oversee Greek Fest. The event took in roughly $73,000 pre and post sales. Approximately $43,000 was for expenses that would be a net profit of $30,000. A difficult and tricky at this first event was we can learn from this and build on it. There was no old new business. Audit committee will need to be nominated for 2021. 3 have volunteered: Alexis Psihoyos, Tammy Conares, Nick Karajozis, Mike Nasios reported the motion to accept these for committee. Patricia Hasipides made the motion. Mark Smith seconded the unanimous approval. Motion to adjourn made by Patricia Pasitidis and seconded by Mark Smith. Mark Nasios closed in thanking the community for their counsel. Thank the Mayor's Council for assisting him with issues. Father Anthony gave the closing prayer. Respectfully submitted, John Coram, Secretary.
Thank you, Peter. With a couple of corrections on names at the audit in the audit committee, it's Demi Clonaris and Carajoses, along with Alexis, who were in the audit committee. With those corrections, do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Alexis, Ahoyes, is there a second? Mark Smith, the second. All in favor of accepting the minutes? It is unanimous. Thank you. The next thing on the agenda is Father Anthony's reflection on the Theotokos Fund. I would ask for Father Anthony to come up briefly and give us an update.
Thank you, Mike. As far as the Theotokos Fund is concerned, opening balance is this is from the end of November to this past Friday. In the meantime, from the time we had the meeting in November to the end of November, we distributed the $20,000 to the Habitat for Humanity. So that's why there's a difference. Opening balance is $12,344.15. Deposits and interest. Deposits is mostly donations, donations. $2,701.69. With adjusted balance being $15,047.76. Peter, I can give you the details afterwards if you want. From that, we have utilities and lodging. We have very little disbursements, very few disbursements. $525.68. And adjusted balance or current balance, $14,522.08. A couple of things I need to point out. One is, like I said, we had very few disbursements during the COVID period. I think mostly because churches were also in need and few people called us, even among our own people. So I also think because the government did so much as far as giving handouts and all that. So the other thing is that my fault. It's on me, but the committee is yet to meet primarily because of the virus, but also because I was going to try. I mentioned last meeting, I think, that I was going to try and get together a committee by Zoom. And it occurred to me, do by Zoom. Zoom is not necessarily the safest thing in the world. We talk about some things that are private business and personal business. We don't want that to get out, so that's why I held off on calling a meeting. We will be having a meeting soon because we got a lot of work to take care of with the Theotokos Fund. One of the things we need to have people donating as well, because once you kick into gear, top gear, it's going to start going fast. So as far as the Habitat is concerned, we did I thought it was the 5th project we've done. They mentioned it was our 6th when we did the door opening for the dedication for the house that we helped sponsor. So I don't know, maybe there's another one there, but at my time, it's the 4th one, plus there's one just before I got here. I know that. So anyway, if you can help me with the details on that, please let me know. As far as general report is concerned, this past year, we've all been focusing on COVID and the restrictions and all that, and been limited to what we can do. But we made it through there. We got into here. So I want to thank the Lord for all the gifts He's given us, for all He's continued to give us, all the strength He's given us during the course of this past year. It's a big challenge for everybody. After 4 years in exile after the fire, we had a successful return home. That was about 2 years ago now. So we had, if I calculate correctly, 5 Paschas, and we were not celebrated here. We celebrated in the gym next door. And again, I'm thankful for the facilities we had to do. Because if we got to other locations, It would have been very difficult. It would not have been in one location, but a number of locations. Appreciate all your help, everybody who helped support us. After we had the pandemic, and we only lost a couple people to the virus, thank God. It could have been worse. We were restricted in so many ways. Continued the services, but doors were locked for the most part, which is not what we wanted, but at least we were able to do that much. And then it also opened the door to other things too. So, sometimes when it's something we get challenged with, there's always something good that comes out of that. The Lord always lets His hand be shown to us. We know that He is on top of everything. We have now the covering of services, which we're thankful for. So this way, if you cannot make it to church, you can still participate in the services. And of course, over the course, same thing with meetings. Many of our meetings have been held virtually, like today, partial, half and half, but still that ability. So it did help us in some ways too. We took advantage of it in certain ways. In general, the ministry has either been unstoppable or just getting rolling again. The rhetorical presentation we did in church, that's continued, thank God. Last year we didn't do it, but we did it this year. We hosted the district oratorical, which was easier to do in one respect, harder to do in another respect because we did it virtually, which was new technology for us. So I want to thank Stavro Stratis for his excellent job in chairing both oratoricals. The first one was relatively easy, but again, new technology. The district oratorical was not, because technology was a guessing game. Thank God it went well. Well, we had a number of kids participating from throughout our conference, and our kids did an excellent job. The acolytes, we're going to start getting more in. We're going to do it slowly. Those of you who have kids or know people who have kids, we're going to do it slowly. We're going to try and bring it for Holy Week, bring in the kids who are past high school years, because we want to make sure, for one thing, because of the space we have in the altar, but the other because of, we want to make sure everybody's coming and been inoculated, because not everybody's had their shot, so we make sure we're okay, we don't overdo it with people. And then as some of I would bring in the the high school students, and then the other kids as time goes by. With some variation, there'll be some primarily because of age, but also be some variation too. So if anybody has any questions, you can tell them come see me, and I'll give more specific details. There's going to be some jumping over based on kids what they know, because we won't have. Usually I invite all the kids to come in and we kind of work them out. Now we're going to keep it limited. One of the things we let some of the young ones come in because they know, because they seriously pay attention. We know it from past history. The ones who don't, we're going to hold off on them a little bit. Choir, I asked, talked to George Changus, who's been through a couple of serious surgeries in the last year and a half. But he's going to be talking to choir members to see what we can do with the choir. Philoptochos is having board meetings in person to accommodate everybody that's on the board. They're going to be starting having open meetings before too long. They got some details to work out. They have been continuing their work, so thankful for that. Sunday school classes have been continuing by virtual classes, and they will continue because we only have a few more Sundays, so we'll continue this in a year virtually. God willing, in the fall we'll start up as usual. Greek school, unfortunately, we not have Greek school this year, but we're going to work on trying to build up for next year, get it ready for next year. We start fresh in the summer, the end of the summer. Hope and Joy, like I mentioned before, we're going to have a modified Easter egg hunt. Thanks to Goy. Goy's done a lot of work with that. And so we want the kids to come for the Agape service, and then we'll, like I said, we modified Easter egg hunt. We'll have something in the way of Easter egg hunt afterwards. Nursery, I know Sperry is working hard on it. Sperry and Kristen are working very hard on that. And at this point, still working with the mothers who are involved. They're going to open some things up to the community, requests for the community when the time comes for that. If anyone has questions, talk to Sperry or Kristen. St. Stephen's Camp has started up again, or is starting up again. There's some things changed over the course of the last few months because of the vaccines and all that. So there are a lot of scholarships available for our kids who want to go. The registration is like stair-step registration, but any questions, call me or call Captain Latour. Also, like I said, there are scholarships available, but if anybody, in the past, people have been willing to offer scholarships, so if you are, let me know, and I can pass it on to some of the kids if the need comes up. Goya has been unstoppable. Thank God. Goya, in the last minutes, and it's worth repeating. Goya's been unstoppable. They've kept up meeting. They met virtually a few times. They met physically a few times with masks and open space outdoors and keeping distance. They've done a great job. They've done the social work too, the social help, the programs that they've done. In other words, one of the first things at the beginning of this year, back in September, was a fundraiser for the church. So I mean, they've worked hard. I give them credit. The kids have done a great job. I credit them and their department advisor, Kathy Tour, and I worked with her, working with the Goyans. Thank you very much. A number of things coming up, like I mentioned, after services. Saturday last year, we're going to have help with the crosses and have snacks for them. Good Friday, they're going to be involved with not just with lanterns, but in other ways, like they are every year. And also, they got a couple shifts coming up in the different weekends for helping with second harvest. So, and the election is going to be in May, later May. So they're going to meet. They're meeting this afternoon. They're going to meet again then. So, in short, I gave a breakdown of various ministries. In short, we can see move forward. We're not fully recovered from the past issues, the fire and the virus and all that, and the fallout from that. And my apologies for those I did not get to, as far as reaching out to people. Sometimes there's just not enough time, unfortunately. I was getting calls and my work doesn't stop, just getting more, which is, I'm okay with that, but I feel bad because I wasn't able to get to everybody who not showed up. So my apologies for that. But I want to thank everybody for all the help they've done. We got a lot to do. We need a lot to move forward. Stewardship is going to be, as always, a very important element. We need to really put our efforts into the stewardship. We need to put our efforts into cooperating with one another and keep maintaining a cooperative spirit, volunteering where we can, not just waiting for people to come to us and ask us specifically, but volunteer where we can help out. Praying for one another, not just coming to church on Sunday to pray, which is good, but not sufficient. We need to pray for one another during the week as well. If anybody drives you nuts, pray for them especially, okay? So we need to pray for one another and prove our faith by our fellowship and by our working together. I believe we are on the edge of growth. I really do. I believe we're on the edge of growth right now. We need to really work together, work hard, so we can do something. I've seen a lot of faces, not new faces, over the course of the 4 years we're in the gym. And it's hard to register how large things could become because it's a different space. Come back here, we start seeing people come back in and people getting their shots and all that. We see more and more activity here. And if we do it right, we can really grow. I believe we have a lot of potential here. But we need to be hospitable to one another, we need to love one another and serve one another and accept people as they come in, be hospitable to welcome them. We have to overcome still, including financial. We could have been worse. Financially, but still, there's challenges there. But with work and with faith, the obstacles can become bridges. The people who always like to put on obstacles. That's going to happen, no matter what. We need to overcome those. We need to overcome those and make, instead of obstacles, bridges. So you can work together and accept the growth that we have coming forward. In some respects, church is just like business, in some respects. You either move forward or you move backwards. You don't stand still. And so many times I've seen churches fall apart, turn into nothing, because they started to stay still, tried to hold on to whatever we had back in the 40s. We need to be proud of our history. We're not in the 40s anymore. Not in the 70s anymore. We're not in the 90s anymore. I enjoyed things in the 70s and the 80s and all. I enjoyed it, but we're not there anymore. Youth ministry, for example. I don't do the same youth ministry now, of course. With the age, you can't do as much anyway. But I don't approach youth ministry now like I did back in the 80s. Why? Because I was in the 80s. There was mentality back then. 90 is a different mentality. Early 90s, late 90s, different mentality. So you approach it differently. We have to take everything. Let the Lord guide us. Let the Lord guide us. Pray. That's what I say. Prayer. And we're going to let the Lord guide us. I mean, I feel one another. One thing does not change: our love for one another, the requirement and the need, necessity. So let's work together. And meanwhile, I want to thank everybody for all the work, for all the help that's done. Everything's done. It's always been a joy serving you and working with you. And thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
One of the issues is, we're going to have Palm Sunday, the making of the palms by the children on Saturday.
Yeah.
Next Saturday.
So next
We're gonna
Saturday.
have that.
Yes, at your liturgy. Yes. We'll have breakfast. We'll have snacks for them and juice boxes.
So Mare Bears and Altar Boys for Easter services.
Altar boys, we're planning it by year because we're going to have certain kids. We'll see how things go during the course of the week. Like I mentioned, we're going to go from older ones to younger ones. We're not probably not younger ones. Probably not by the end of Holy Week. But then I'm thinking more. I'm thinking not Holy Week too, because it depends. I'm thinking more towards the end of the school year, like beginning of summer with the younger ones. But it depends on what we count in the altar because you still have to. Some of you already know this. You still have to maintain with the masks and some distance. It's going to be tough during Holy Week, but still. So that's why we don't want to overcrowd the altar. And we don't have that much space in the altar. So.
Okay. So apparently we have a choir for Friday night.
Okay.
Friday.
Okay.
Is that
I talked to George last night. He said he talked to people today, so I don't know if he told you that, then I guess we are.
We're good. We
Good.
want to announce that we will have.
I don't want to put pressure on George, you know?
Yes, Christina. Right.
Oh, fantastic. That's good. That's good. Great. That's great. I'm glad we're able to work it out.
Thank you. That would be good.
Fantastic. That's great.
All right. Those are the questions
Okay.
we
Thank you.
had.
Thank you.
And before we go forward with the treasurer's report, I wanted to remind everybody that we're going to have coffee from now on every Sunday after church. And it will be inside the hall, and everybody's welcome. They can wear a mask, or if they don't want to wear a mask, they don't have to wear a mask. So we're going to have coffee from now on. We tried it out today, and I think it went fine. The coffee hour or the coffee after church on Palm Sunday next week will be in honor of Sophia Clito. Remember her for all these years. And at this time, I would ask Kelly Peters, our treasurer, to come up and give us the treasurer's report. The report, we handed out copies in the church, and also we mailed it by email, the treasurer's report this morning. So please look at your email if you're at home. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, so the report that you have in front of you are the financials through March, which is what we just presented at the parish council meeting. There's not a whole lot to go through with only 3 months worth of data, so I'll be brief. I would like to point out a couple things, and the columns that I'm looking at are the year-to-date actual, year-to-date budget, year-to-date variance. That's where I'm going to focus my attention. The first thing you'll notice is in the stewardship, the archdiocese, that looks like we're over budget a little bit. Remember that this is basically a statement of cash flows. So that's the December archdiocese payment that cleared in January. So that looks like we're over a little bit, but it's just a timing delay there. Peter mentioned in the meetings from last time, we're still trying to cut down expenses wherever we can control. So obviously we have to keep the heat on, we have to keep the lights on. Those things are beyond our control. We do try to set the thermostats at the most efficient place. We do have the new insurance from this year, and we were able to see a little bit of a savings there too. I'll point out the infrastructure line, we are almost $12,000 under budget there. So you can see that our efforts are paying off a little bit there. I'll go through the miscellaneous seems to be where we have the most questions. So I'm going to go against those miscellaneous expenses and miscellaneous income in just a minute. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, I believe actually the Stewardship Committee is going to present, not after me, but in the committee reports a little bit later. So Steve's going to talk about that, but we do look like our pledge for current year is up just a little bit. We do typically see that at the beginning of the year. We have a lot of people who pay their full pledge in January, or they front load it. There are some people who pay towards the end of the year for tax purposes. So that's pretty normal that we see almost a $16,000 over budget for the first quarter of the year. I wanted to mention too, down in the bottom left-hand corner, those are the funds that we have on deposit. And I think Father said it just now, it could be worse. So for right now, we're okay. We can't give up though. There's still a lot of work to be done. We're still very early in the year. We don't know what Greek Fest is going to look like, so all those things we'll talk about later, but I feel much better about it now than I did when we last met in November. So I'll go through now the expenses. Miscellaneous expenses, we've got $6,700 of expenses. The majority of that is a transfer that I did from the operating account to the memorial account. And that is to catch up the fourth quarter of 2020 and the first quarter of 2021. And that amount was $6,540. So of that $6,700, $6,500 of it went to the memorial account, and you can see that down in the bottom left-hand corner too. The other things in the miscellaneous expenses are very minor. We've had some deposits mixed in with the Philiptohos that I have given them their money back, so I would deposit it into the operating fund and then turn around and write Philiptohos a check for their portion of that. So let's go through, well, let me ask if there's any questions before I go through the miscellaneous income. Yeah. So the question is, are we back to our normal insurance payments? And since Alexis is here, I might let her answer that, but I think that we're close. We've definitely seen a savings that, and it's more this year. It was much better last year, a little bit better this year. And so for those who are on the video stream, Alexis is nodding her head that that's sort of where we stand right now. Okay. So miscellaneous income, the biggest thing there, we've got $48,000 that we've deposited. Almost $44,000 of that is the payroll protection, the second draw. The first deposit for the payroll protection was completely forgiven, so that's done and taken care of. Excuse me. So they've really made it easy on us to get this second draw. And they said, if everything looks good on the first draw, we'll just give you the same amount because you have the same number of employees. So that amount was $43,617 that we got. So, and that is a big portion of why we're in okay shape right now, because without that, you know, the picture would not be so positive. So other than that, in that $43,000 is the payroll protection. We had almost $3,000 in restitution. That's still coming in monthly, and $1,300 in memorials. And I think that's it. Yeah. So what was the Philiptohos payment for? So there were some parishioners who were putting their dues for Philiptohos, and they got mixed up in our deposits. And when we find those, I would just, and there's been a couple that have come through on PayPal, and that goes directly into the operating account. So when I get those funds, I just turn around and send them to Philiptohos. Yes, it'll wash, right. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I think that's all I got.
Thank you, Kelly. The next item in the agenda is the Stewardship Drive, and we're going to bump that down to under committee reports and not talk about that at this time. Under President's report, I've already expressed how happy I am to see the church full. Again, without repeating myself, I'm very happy to open the church back up. We're going to do our best to make it convenient for our members to attend. I don't have a whole lot to say other than the big question is whether we're going to have a Greek Fest and what that Greek Fest is going to look like. I also want to thank the people that last year, we had a group of people that contributed a substantial amount of money to help us, along with the pledges and along with the PPP program, to actually be in pretty good shape this year. I mean, not in great shape, but generally, as Kelly said, we're stable. We look forward to reopening the church. There's some things we have to do as leaders in the church and parish council, along with Father Anthony, to bring people back, to make it more attractive for them to come back. But I think we'll be able to do it, and I look forward to doing that. We talked about the protocol changes. We're still going to have to wear a mask for some period of time. And because we've opened things up, we feel like it was appropriate for us to check temperatures before you come in. And we leave it up to your discretion how close to sit each other and use your judgment there. With that, we will go to the committee report. And I would ask Alexis Sahoyas to come up and give us the Audit Committee's report. I would like to thank the members of the Audit Committee for doing this. It's not easy to look at, especially if you don't do this for a living, to actually go through these records and try to do the best that you can to make sure that everything is done appropriately. Unfortunately, we misspelled a couple of the names, and I'm going to correct them on the original, on the official minutes. And it's Alexis Demiclonaris and Nick Karagiosis. Alexis, if you would.
Good morning. Nick, Demi, and I have met 2 times and reviewed all of the month-to-month statements and as well as the Greek Fest to Go information and found no errors or discrepancies that didn't show anything but transparency. So we were very happy with what was presented to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. Is there a rebuilding committee report? We do not have a rebuilding committee report. We'll talk about Greek Fest here in a little bit in conjunction with Steve's Stewardship Drive. And Steve, are you ready to come up and talk about the Stewardship Drive?
Thank you, Mike. So the Stewardship Committee continues to communicate with you on different things through email and letters. And we have shared with you some of the concerns on not just what happened in COVID year, what happens in the partial COVID year. I hope 2021 will be. I hope it's not a whole COVID year. And what happens after COVID. And thinking about our long-term goals as a community and serving others, ourselves, and what we need to do in our stewardship for St. George. So one of the things we have some information. Kelly has kept track, of course, of the pledges that have come in. We don't see any of the pledges by name, but she can share with us a report of how those pledges are coming in relative to the size and compare it to the year before, or the amount, I should compare to the year before. So we've gotten 109 pledges so far this year. And that means that, by the way, that means we're a little bit behind. Normally we would have more pledges in this time of year. So first thing the Stewardship Committee wants to ask you is to make sure that you get your pledge turned in to Kelly as the treasurer, so that we know what our budget will look like and our income is going to be. But also those 109 who have made a pledge, actually 88% of them have increased their pledge from last year. Thank you. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing at a time when we truly need it, and we'll need it going forward into the future. Within those that have increased their pledge, about 20%, right at 20%, have actually increased their pledge significantly. Many, 20% have actually doubled their pledge from last year. And another 20% have increased it more than 50%. So thank you, thank you. This is for our community, this is for our church to have a long-term sustainability and have a reserve and all the things that we talked about in the past and will continue to talk about. And I do want to express my thanks, and the Stewardship Committee express our thanks, and the Parish Council express our thanks to those of you who responded in making your pledge and responded in the way you made your pledge. So more to come. We'll keep you posted, and let me know if there's any questions or any concerns or anything that Stewardship Committee can help you with. Thank you. We have a question.
Those percentages sounded great. I guess the $100 pledges have turned into $200 pledges. Our $109 pledges average still $1,300. The amount pledged divided by the 109 pledges is still $1,300. We were hoping that would turn into $2,600 so we could meet our budget, which is $171,000 shy of being balanced. So dwell on that.
I'm not sure that was a question, but anyway, Jimmy just pointed out that there have been a lot of pledges, and that could be the mix of the pledges we received so far, meaning we have gotten some of the, pledges vary a lot. We've seen some of those that are not on the high end come in at this time of year. And if you look at the ones that have yet to pledge, many of those are higher. Last year, they were higher pledges last year. So we're hoping and anticipating that will improve as we get the rest of our pledges in. That's our thoughts. But any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Steve and Jimmy. There is no planning committee report, which brings us to Greek Fest committee. The Greek Fest committee has not met officially. One of the reasons is that we need a chairman. We have requested from the community a volunteer to head whatever Greek Fest we're going to put on this year. The Parish Council is not sure what the version will be. We're waiting till June to be able to see more clearly. But we're going to have the fundraiser. And with mentioning Greek Fest, I don't want people to forget the golf tournament that is coming up on July the 30th. Some young men have worked really hard to put our golf tournament together. The letter that we sent out as part of the General Assembly packet includes information about the golf tournament. So for sure, we're going to have the golf tournament as a fundraiser. And it's pretty obvious to me that we're going to need some version of Greek Fest. It would be really nice if we had a chairperson. I think the Parish Council and all of the community would support that person, but we need somebody to head it. I think that's very important. We need someone new to do it. I've heard from one of our concerns has been that we're not going to have enough workers to put it on or to put it on safely. But I've heard from different parts of the community that they're willing to come and work for Greek Fest. So with that in mind, I would respectfully ask for a volunteer to chair Greek Fest. And the committee is really in place. It's the Parish Council and all the booth chairmen. It may be a smaller version of what we've done in the past. It may be a combination of a smaller version plus the drive-through, but we'll see what is the better thing to do as we get closer to the date. Our date is October 1 through 3 this year. So it's in early October. Expect the weather's going to be good. We expect a lot of people to be vaccinated by then. And we think we can bring some people to St. George to celebrate Greek Fest with us. Does anybody from the Parish Council want to say anything else about Greek Fest? October 1st to 3rd. Right. The next thing is old business, and I know we've kind of talked about some expense that we've had to remodel the house. I'm going to ask Jimmy Vavalidis to come up and give you a synopsis of of that construction, plus what else is going on around the church in a short version. I want to remind everybody that we have rent coming from the house. I know we're spending some money for remodeling of the house. But we've got over 20 or 23, 24,000 a year in income from the house. And we have decided to raise the rent some in a reasonable way. But I'll let Jimmy talk about all that.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning, everyone. We reported at the last General Assembly the work that had been done on the house. We've been working on it pretty extensively for several months. Our total cost, with the most recent activity being renovation of the main floor bathroom, is going to be about $65,000. And that also includes some new appliances, all the exterior work that we postponed as long as we could. And again, this last action being about $15,000 for the main floor bathroom. Mike mentioned that we have a verbal agreement with the group of tenants to extend the lease beginning August 1st. It runs through July 31st. The rental rate will go from $2,800 a month to $3,200 a month. The only other maintenance item that we're underway with actively right now, you probably noticed in the back parking lot, we've hired a firm to redirect some of the rain and some of the runoff from the parking lot around the neighbor's yard. Our new neighbor approached us several weeks ago, and John and I met with him, and it really was a serious problem for him. So we've rerouted the side lot. You can take a look as you leave today. There's some riprap, the big rocks, and we reshaped that runoff with final item being he's going to dig an actual drain up on the upper lot and run that through that new area as well. That cost will be about $2,400. The other potential items that we've talked about before, and I hate to keep my fingers crossed on stuff like this, but so far so good. We've got the gymnasium part of the hall. The HVAC units there are really old. They seem to be working okay at this time. There'll be a lot more stress put on them as the temperatures rise, so that could be an expense of several $1,000s. The cooler and the freezer in the kitchen also is running okay right now, but could be another big expense. And then most recently, Johnny and I have met with the Johnson Gallion firm that redid the church. We noticed some damaged spots. You can look as you leave today on the vertical part of the dome where some of the paint is pulling away. It looks sort of blistered and swollen in a couple of spots. We are discussing with Johnson Gallion the actions needed to fix that, make sure the dome is intact and not leaking. We don't have a number on that yet. We're waiting on some more information from Johnson Gallion. Be happy to answer any questions you might have about maintenance and the church property. Yeah, thanks, Mike. You may have noticed also it's been repaired satisfactorily. We've discovered some leaks by the the vertical windows that are parallel to Kingston Pike. Johnson Gallion got up and rerouted the gutters and repaired some of the gutter work, and then also replaced some seals around those windows. So that seems to have been taken care of. We noticed some water during the heavy rain periods on the gymnasium floor, but that's been handled as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. We have a couple of more items in the agenda. One of them is in the Spring General Assembly, you're supposed to elect election committee members. We did this last year. We had some volunteers, but they didn't get to serve because we didn't have an election. So we're holding those guys, same people, in place. And those, and unless they tell us they can't do it, we're going to keep them the same. And those volunteers were, 4 of them, Harry Alexander, Stelani Kandilakis, Amy Christie, and Chris Treco. So we do have an election committee that we're going to leave in place. I don't know that we need to vote on that. And I think under the circumstances, we can, I guess, suggest to them that they continue on with their appointment last year. So the next thing is nominations for the Clergy Lady Conference for 2021 for the Metropolis. Apparently, whether there's going to be one, it's up in the air. So Father tells me that we are not able to, there's no need for us to nominate anybody at this time.
That I can't make a motion, but somebody make a motion that if something comes up about clergy lady, that the parish council be empowered to identify or choose the delegates.
Fathers said that if any new information comes up regarding the Clergy Lady Conference, that we will find a way to deal with it as a parish council, and we'll report to the community. All right, so Jimmy Cotianas asked whether we know whether that meeting is going to be virtual. And it's my understanding that it's all up in the air right now. So as soon as we get more information, we will report to the community. Are there any other questions about anything? We're at the end of the General Assembly. Is there anything else, any questions from anybody about any other issue that you want to discuss? Bill, do you have anything? No? So we expect to have a busy week. During Holy Week, we have made plans to have appropriate help here. We're going to go forward and see if we can get more of our parishioners to come, not only our parishioners, but our neighbors to come to church with us to celebrate Easter. Do I have a motion for an adjournment? Miss Christina? Is there a second? Emily is the second. Any objection to adjournment? Everybody's in favor. Thank you.
The grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Lord God, the Father, the Holy Spirit be with us all. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Father.